All right, about the rumor that there's a new rule, and I heard this as well. It's nonsense. There's no new rule about Nitoryu, all right? I don't have the little handbook here. I do have this book here, though. I got this recently. This is Koda Sensei's book, Kendo Shimpan Manual. And there's a page in here about Nito. Here it says Nito questions and answers. And look, let's see. So it says here about making the datotsu with the shoto and it becoming the valid strike. Could you give a detailed case of how it can be considered valid? So it's essentially, right, the daito has to completely control the shinai of the opponent. So the has to be controlling the long sword of the opponent, and then you can make the strike with the short sword with your arm fully extended. And if it meets the criteria, it can be considered ippon, valid. It can be, all right? I'm going to read this case in a minute, but it can be considered ippon. That's not changed. That was always the case. In principle, though, you can't use the shoto to make the valid strikes from tsubazariai. So you can't use it for hikiwaza or from tsubazariai. You can't just hit from tsubazariai. That's written in the book. Both of those are written in the book. Right, let me have a read of this and then I'll come back to you with this. So the example is given here. Can you please give an example of when an example of a strike that could be considered valid with the shoto? So it says that when the opponent aims for the kote that is holding the daito. And then, so let's say you've got, I don't know, I don't do Nito, but we do it this way, right? So the opponent's aiming for this kote. As they come into strike, you control the incoming strike with the daito to defend their strike, and then you make a strike with the shoto on their men with the arm extended. That's what it says is a potential example of how you could score. Of course, and the second sentence says, of course, it must meet all of the criteria of Yuko Datotsu. Just hitting is not enough, all right? So that's not new. There is in the handbook for the Shiai and Shimpan guidelines, there's a question in there as well that says, why is striking with the shoto so restricted? And it says clearly in that as well, it says that, look, Nitoryu exists in Kendo as part of its culture and tradition, and the restriction on awarding points or striking with the shoto is there to maintain fairness and safety. So there we go. It's a difficult one. It's very, very hard to achieve the Yuko Dato with the shoto, I'll be honest with you. But nothing's changed about it at all, all right? Nothing's changed. They just put out some further educational documents for Shimpan. That's it. But they haven't changed anything. There's no new rules on it at all.